I've been playing this game for a long time, and throughout all those years, up until the end of Legion, when the faction imbalance really got out of hand and Blizz introduced War Mode, this has been on a PvP server. I've had a lot of fun over the years on PvP servers, but if you were to ask me, so you're good at PvP, right? I'm okay. I know how to play objectives and battlegrounds, and not to backpedal, but let's just say I didn't get this cool looking horse from doing mostly PvP related activities.
A garrison in this Warden Tower would be a vital strategic victory. Drive the Forsaken from it. For Gilneas!
Put me in an arena battle and my brain just kind of stops. I've tried to get into more serious PvP over the years. Every attempt never seemed to work out though. I would inadvertently get overwhelmed by the sheer complexity of it all, burn out and quit, losing all the progress I had made by the time the next attempt rolled around. But I'm older now, and wiser. I've learned how to learn, and there's a new expansion and a chance at a fresh start, and no more need to apply to groups, because now there's solo shuffle. Hooray for Blizz catering to us introverts. So I've decided to buckle down and actually learn how to PvP, and how to, what does everybody call it these days, get good. And I've decided to chronicle my climb with a YouTube series, because I'd also like to learn how to edit videos. But first, what class? My main throughout the years has been Druid, but I've always been an altaholic, and I wanted to try something new, so I leveled a bunch of alts and consulted Reddit. Oh, mighty and sometimes wise Reddit, please bless me with your advice. Which of the several alts I have currently leveled should I, a PvP noob, play in order to get good? Well, okay. I had heard things about Fury Warrior, that it was the noob class, that it was too easy and you only needed 2 buttons to win. I wasn't sure if it was really the best to learn the ins and outs of PvP, but I had a plan. Instead of just blindly mashing buttons and hoping for the best, I would use it as a way to develop my base skills, the things that I should just know to do without thinking. And after I had mastered, or at least gotten a decent grasp of these base skills, I would then apply them to more complicated classes. So the plan is this, in no particular order. Practice rotation, so I can do it without having my eyes glued to the action bars. Download some add-ons and get used to using them, but I will probably have to do this in a step-by-step manner over time to reduce stimulus overload. Get used to using cooldowns. The goal is to either win or die having everything on cooldown. Cooldown awareness, being able to track when things will be coming off cooldown while in the middle of fighting. This includes tracking enemy cooldowns. Spatial awareness, where are my teammates and enemies' positions relative to me? Learn what other classes do, how to counter them, and how they counter me, and how I counter their counter to me. Learn how people behave. Do they run from me? Do they tank me, kite me, hide from me? What do they do when I'm not attacking them? When are they trying to juke my interrupts? Who the best targets are? Which classes do I keep locked down and which ones do I ignore? At what points do I have to leave my target to peel for the healer? With this plan in mind, I set out to begin my journey. But first, before I can get good, I have to get geared, because my warrior is basically just a fresh 70. I don't even have him transmogged yet. So first thing I'm going to do is queue for an epic BG. Epic BGs are a good way of gearing, as you make up a smaller fraction of the team and thus are less of a burden. Not only that, but epic BGs tend to have things like vehicles and PvE activities, which allow you to help while still being basically useless in an actual fight. While I wait for the queue, I'm going to look over my talents. I don't really have that much knowledge on warrior builds, so I'm going to look up a pre-made talent build. And I'm going to run into my first problem. These talents are for Titan's Grip. How's that a problem, you ask? I leveled with Single-Minded Fury. I leveled with Single-Minded Fury so I could mog my weapons into fist weapons, so I could rip and tear apart my enemies with my Worgen claws, just as Elune intended, and fulfill my werewolf berserker dreams I've had since I first made this character all the way back in Cataclysm. I have no two-handers. Seriously, why are there no guides for Single-Minded Fury? Even for PvE where the raw stamina stats matter less. I get that it's subpar to using Titan's Grip, but surely there would be at least one guide out there for people who really wanted to use it, right? Right? At any rate, I'll just stick with my current talents for now and then switch them up when I actually get some new weapons. And oh look, the queue just popped. Okay, so originally I was going to tell the tale of my adventures in epic BG land as a freshly leveled 70 Fury Warrior using one-handers, but in the end I decided to go with the summary so that we can get to the actual arena fighting sooner. Basically, it ended up being Ash Run 3 times in a row. First game, we got pushed back to our base, but then managed to summon our Lord and Savior Treesus, who swung the battle in our favor and handed us the win. Second game, similar deal, Horde pushing us back until Treesus was summoned, and then we turned the tides once more for another victory. Third game was a lot more interesting since the Horde summoned their elemental and we were slacking on ours. But then, somehow, we slew their elemental and I handed in the final fragments to summon Treesus once more. But then he died, and it was looking really bad again. But then, somehow, as if the Wolf Ancient himself were fighting at our side, we fought with such ferocity that the Horde forces crumbled before us and we managed to once more claim victory. All the while, I was just doing my best to help the team, practicing using my more disruptive abilities such as Intimidating Shout and Stormbolt, as well as trying to interrupt healers. It was after the third Ash Run that I realized Comp Stomp was up. Comp Stomp is decent for practice. One problem with epic BGs is that it's hard to do much as melee against a large group because as soon as you charge in, you die. With Comp Stomp, I actually get to practice my rotation, openers, and cooldown usage in a slightly more controlled environment. These bots are by no means good, or accurate replicas of actual players, but they have their use as moving training dummies that hit back. A few hours later, I was ready with a full set of PvP gear. I must say, the generic plate set this expansion looks nice, especially on a Worgen. It's so hard to find helmets that look good on the furry races these days. So now, PvP set acquired, talents at the ready, somewhat practiced, I feel like it's finally time to try out Rated Solo Shuffle. This is my first time queuing for it. Excited to see how it goes. When we first started, we were a bit confused, as they were all hiding in the starting area. We waited a bit seeing what they'd do, but they did not emerge. After a little bit of deliberation, we charged in. I pressed my buttons and pressed them some more, and honestly I was kind of feeling overwhelmed by all the stuff that was going on. The other warrior ended up dying in the confusion. The Prevoker from the previous game told us to stack. They gave us some instructions and assured us that they could heal through the damage. Eventually the enemy rushed in and I threw my Stormhammer at the druid just as the luck AoE stunned us. One issue I had were all the demon nameplates blocking my view, making it extremely difficult to target who I wanted. It was like playing Where's Waldo but with imps. Unfortunately at the time I wasn't sure how to turn them off. Despite this, we very nearly got the warrior down, but the druid managed to save him, and our healer died instead. I guess he couldn't heal for the damage after all. Once more, we stayed in the starting area, and they rushed in. I pressed my buttons as well as I could, but honestly, I wasn't really sure what I was doing. The fight moved into the middle area, and we won the round by slaying the arms warrior. I will admit the demo lock basically did all of the work. We ran out and confronted them in their hidey hole. I popped my cooldowns but got stunned. I went onto the lock to stop them from free casting but got feared. I kept switching targets a lot, not sure of who to fight, but eventually swapped to the warrior when I saw their health was low. The Prevoker tried to save him, but our Death Knight gripped him back and he died. The Prevoker and the Arms Warrior traded some choice words of each other, which I won't repeat here, but as I wasn't the target of either of their ire, I just laughed. Everyone charged out this time. I popped my cooldowns on the Death Knight and tried to CC the Druid, but got stunned myself and died. Before the round was over, the warrior had called the Evoker a bad healer. We held back and the warrior charged in. I popped my cooldowns on them and just kept wailing on them until they were dead. I think the Prevoker might have AFK'd out of pure rage. Props for not leaving, I guess. Three out of 3 for my first game. Not bad. Things I learned. Be nice to your healer and try not to make their lives harder. And demo locks hurt a lot. Things I need to practice. My rotation, targeting, and targeting the right person at the right time. I ask who we kill, and our healer says to go priest. I move in, wary of the rogue. The priest is pillar humping, so I charge the rogue and then heroic leap to the priest when they come out of hiding. But before I can do any real damage, the round ends, with our healer dying instead. I chase the priest around the pillar until I can charge them, and then blow my cooldowns. I notice our healer isn't doing so hot, so I switch to the DPS to try and peel them off the healer, before switching to the rogue. I get disarmed temporarily. The rogue vanishes and I charge the priest, and fear them in an attempt to keep them CC'd, but this doesn't really work. I then return to the rogue as they pop back out. Both the rogue and the warrior are on the Devoker, but there isn't much I can do about it at this point, and the Devoker goes down. I charge in and pop my cooldowns, but get disarmed. I then get hit with the Kyrian Spear and try to run out of it, but obviously this doesn't work. I return to DPSing the Devoker. I get mind games to run away to let it fall off before getting back on the Devoker. I charge and interrupt and just generally do my best to keep up the damage until they are dead. It seems the healer wasn't able to keep them up, or didn't spam heal as much as they could have, since no one was on them at that moment. I start by attacking the rogue, popping all of my cooldowns. I notice that the rogue is attacking the Devoker and try to peel them off. I get disarmed, a lot. Are weapon chains a thing in Dragonflight? Despite my best efforts, the Devoker goes down. My allies open up on the Devoker, and the rogue opens on me. I pop all my cooldowns, but I am disarmed. Worrying for my life, I temporarily jump away to try and buy time for the healer to heal me up. The rogue stays on me, and I die as the healer runs away with the Devoker on them. I forgot about Victory Rush. I follow the rogue's lead and then charge in, focusing their healer before switching to the warrior as I'm stuck in the Kyrian Spear. I do my best to keep the Provoker busy while peeling for our own healer. I notice the Devoker is low health and switch back to them, helping the rogue finish them off. Things I learned. Sin Rogue's hurt. Peeling is king. Devokers are squishy. Things I need to practice. Peeling. What to do when disarmed. Remember to use Victory Rush. And so ends day 1. And what a day. Lots of fun to be had. Did I learn anything? Hopefully. Will I continue the series? You'll find out if I post an episode 2. I actually have all the footage for episode 2 already, but since I'm new to making videos, it will likely be a while before I can get the videos out at the same rate I can record. If you have any tips or advice, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Not just tips for specifically Fury Warrior, but for PvP in general, as I do eventually want to try out other classes as well. If you are interested in my art, you can follow me at FurorSF on the social media sites listed. Thank you for watching, and good night.